Non, ce que je trouve, moi, de merveilleux, c'est que les gens de l'extérieur aiment la région et ils veulent toujours s'impliquer un peu plus et c'est ce qu'ils donnent comme conseil. Karine, c'est toi qui devrais peut-être avoir le mot de la fin pour ton entrevue.
Bon, le mot de la fin. Moi, je pourrais dire qu'on on a beaucoup de jeunes sur le complexe, on a beaucoup d'anciens, on a beaucoup de personnes qui sont là. On a peut-être 3 générations sur le complexe. Le mot de la fin, je pourrais peut-être dire que entre chaque génération, il y a beaucoup de choses qu'on peut partager. De mon poste, moi, des fois, je vais dire, bon, ben, à un employé, attends, je peux pas te donner la réponse encore, je vais aller chercher de l'histoire en arrière de ça. Parce que c'est sûrement arrivé, excusez, cet incident-là, dans le passé. Fait que je vais chercher du passé. Peut-être que les jeunes, aujourd'hui, pourraient faire la même chose, essayer de partager avec les plus anciens quelles sont leurs expériences, puis quels conseils eux aussi ont à donner. Parce qu'il y a beaucoup d'avenir, puis je pense qu'eux en ont une grande part de fait pour l'accompagner, une grande part de fait pour eux autres.
Peut-être on va l'avoir dans 25 ans d'ici.
Mais j'y compte bien. Avec tous les projets que j'ai en tête réalisés, je pourrais vous dire, oh, j'ai réalisé tous les projets que j'avais en tête. C'est vraiment, en tout cas, il y a de la place pour beaucoup de choses.
Merci beaucoup, Karine.
Ça m'a fait plaisir.
Eh bien, comme on l'avait dit, Chantal, en début d'émission, c'est la finale de la dernière émission de la saison.
Oui, la dernière de 97-98. Comment tu as trouvé cette saison?
J'ai trouvé que c'était très intéressant. Comme on parlait, c'est beaucoup d'ouvrages. Les gens peut-être ne s'aperçoivent pas, mais c'est de nombreuses heures de travail de bénévolat de la part des caméramans, des preneurs de son, de Wayne, de Rémi, au montage, de nous. Je veux dire, il a fallu une grande disponibilité, mais je pense que l'expérience en valait la peine.
Oui. Et le chapeau à Carmel Melançon, notre recherchiste, parce que c'est un travail de moine que de pouvoir mettre sur horaire des personnes, malgré que quelquefois, il y a des annulations de dernière minute. Mais ce que nous avons fait de particulier cette année, Claude, c'est qu'on a sorti un peu plus du studio et je crois que les gens ont bien aimé ça.
D'ailleurs, la preuve, c'est ici, on a fait de l'alpinisme pour vous présenter un panorama vue du belvédère de la ville de Témiscamingue. On a essayé de vous faire découvrir des nouveaux coins, de vous montrer la beauté de notre paysage, d'essayer de vous faire comprendre qu'on a une grande chance d'être ici dans la région. Puis, je pense que de toute façon, les gens sont, la grande quantité, la grande majorité des gens sont d'accord avec nous qu'on est dans un bon coin.
Dans un beau coin, surtout aussi avec des belles vues panoramiques, des gens chaleureux, dynamiques. Et ce que j'aimerais peut-être vous dire, c'est que l'an prochain, ça sera peut-être autrement, l'émission, peut-être un format particulier encore. Donc, si vous avez des suggestions, peut-être parler au grand patron, c'est-à-dire avec Wayne.
C'est ça, parce qu'on ne sait jamais d'une année à l'autre. On prend toujours, comme là, on s'est dit, on va prendre l'été, on va réfléchir de comment on va revenir à l'automne, quelle formule, quel format, comment on va le faire. Mais on va réfléchir à ça, parce que nous, notre tête, elle n'arrête jamais.
C'est ça. Donc, j'espère que tu vas passer une très belle été, Claude, et que les gens à la maison aussi vont profiter de notre beau coin de pays, comme on a fait à chaque année. D'ailleurs, peut-être profiter de votre coin de région, visitez-la et dépensez votre argent ici parce que ça garde des emplois.
C'est ça. Moi, on n'a pas d'argent, fait qu'on ne prend pas à dépenser. Mais ce qu'on dit, c'est qu'on va souhaiter à tembec un bon 25e anniversaire. On va souhaiter aux gens qui vont partir en vacances des belles vacances. On va leur souhaiter qu'ils nous reviennent, qu'ils fassent leur voyage en toute sécurité, qu'ils nous reviennent avec des beaux souvenirs dans la tête. Donc, on demande aux gens d'être prudents, de respecter les règlements au niveau de la route, de faire attention aux enfants, de façon à nous revenir à l'automne aussi en bon état, en bonne santé qu'ils le sont présentement.
Donc, on vous attend encore cet automne pour l'année 98-99 pour de nouvelles émissions au Canal 13.
C'est ça. Sur ce, bonnes vacances à tout le monde et à bientôt.
On vous embrasse.
With me now is Andre Bordelot, and Andre retired back in 1992, and he has some very interesting stories to share with us about the CIP days, and I'm sure the tembec days. Thank you for joining us, Andre.
Yep.
Now, you retired in 92. How long did you work before you started working at tembec? How long did you work at CIP?
CIP, I needed 6 weeks for 20 years for the CIP. Yeah. I started in July 52 until May 72.
Just 6 weeks shy of the 20th anniversary for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how long was it? Did you know that the mill was going to shut down? Did you have any
Yeah, we
inkling?
knew about, I would say it was 6 months ahead of time. We knew that everything was, they wouldn't fix anything. They were patching up. We knew there was something wrong. Then I would say about 6 months before the announcement that they were going to shut down. Yeah.
Now, how was that day? That must have been a pretty sad day for you and the guys.
We didn't believe it. We didn't believe it because we were making good pulp. We couldn't figure out why they were shutting down, but that was decided apparently in New York. They didn't care about the people in Temiskaming. It was a money thing, I guess. At the time, the interest was good on the money, and I guess they didn't want to run the mill anymore.
Now, did you work in between the CIP closure and tembec startup?
Oh yeah, I worked with for Goodman Staniford at Tea Lake. Well, I never miss an hour. I was one of the lucky guys. We were about 12 of us, I guess, working there from CIP.
You were definitely lucky, yeah.
Oh yeah, I think I was. Yeah.
Now, when you heard about the possibility of tembec starting up, what was that like for you?
Oh, we were all happy. We were all waiting to see the smoke coming out of the smokestack. Especially me, I had a new house, and over there the money was not as good. And when you work at a place 20 years, it's almost like home. So I was so anxious to come back and come back on the same job. We were very, very happy.
I guess so. Now, do you remember were you at work the day that you found out, or do you remember what the feeling was that day?
Oh yeah, I was working, and they called me on my job. So that was on Friday. They told me I was starting up on the Monday, the next Monday. So I went and told my boss. I said, I might leave there. I got a job back in the mill where I was. He said, we knew they phoned here about 2 weeks ago for you. They wouldn't tell me.
Oh,
so
yeah, they kept it a secret.
I did give them 2 weeks notice, so they knew. So I said, oh, you knew? Eh? Well, I'm leaving.
Oh, that's good. So what was it like when tembec started up? First of all, each of you had a stake in this mill, and there was that extra effort to make it work. How was that? What was that like?
Well, we had to make it work. That was bread and butter, but it didn't look too good when we come in. We had broken pipe, broken pumps. Some of the equipment was left with water, and some of that stuff cracked. And finally, anyway, some of the pump we encased in cement. It was just the shaft sticking out. And a couple of years later, some of these pumps were still running because we couldn't replace everything all at once. The contractor came in. He asked me, what kind of pump is that? Oh, I said, that's a secret pump. We don't tell anybody. All you could see was the cement around it.
A secret pump.
Yeah.
Now, any interesting stories that come to mind as you guys were starting up, people that you've worked with?
Well, I worked with so many guys. There was one guy that I'll never forget was Mr. McCann. He was the boss of the shop. And to tell you the truth, in all the time I worked here, I never met a man with memory like he had. Like sometimes we were on a job and looking for part. Mr. McCann used to tell us, go in that section, the bin number and everything. Sure enough, you walk right up and there was the part. And anything at all, that store is quite big. It was thousands of parts. He knew everything. I couldn't remember that. It was
phenomenal. How his memory was.
Yeah, it was a man like that. You don't see that very often.
No, and invaluable too.
Oh yeah.
Now you had mentioned you had a story about Frank Dettori. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, we were working. That was in the bleach department. We were fixing a pump that. This pump was lined with some kind of I think a rubber it was, if I remember right. Some kind of rubber anyway. And my helper and I mixed the cement. When we took the manhole off, mixed the cement, And then we had a big problem. We found out we couldn't get in the hole. We were too big. So Frank at that time, he used to go all over the mill, check everything was, and check on the boys and how you're doing. Come around, yes, how's everything? I said, well, we got a problem now, so we can't get in the hole. So Frank said, no problem. He said, put down the gas mask, down the hole. He went and fixed the crack, and that was it. That was the time, that time there, all the people, were all working together. We used to do everything. Anything you could do, you do it. It was very, very interesting. There was a challenge, and that's what makes life interesting, challenge. And,
You must have felt a real camaraderie with everybody, eh?
Oh, yeah. Well, we had differences, but who hasn't, eh? But most of the time, we had a good time. I had a good life there.
Yeah.
I think people in Timiskaming, if you look around you, the money we're making here, I know some people with 4 or 5 years in university, and they don't make the money guys make here with just your high school and just a little, like me, I was just a mechanic. I was not and I made very good money. Yeah. See, you needed some extra money. All you had to do is work some overtime. There was all kinds of overtime.
No,
if you don't make it here, you'll never make it anywhere. That's
especially after what you guys went through. I mean, you guys really went through a tough time, and you worked hard together. And did you ever think, look at the mill now? Did you ever think?
No. I thought maybe we're gonna like revamp the old mill, but thing like that, I never dreamed it would be like that. And not only here, we got mills now. I could say they have all over the Quebec now. They got some in New Brunswick, and oh Jesus, no.
So you say we, but you still feel a part of it, and you still are a part of it. You have children working here.
Well, I got two boys working there, and like I said a while ago, I feel like a part of me still in the mill.
Definitely. Now, how are you feeling as we approach the 25th anniversary? Are you feeling a little reminiscent, obviously?
Oh, I'll be glad to meet all the boys. Some of the guys I didn't see quite a while. Some moved out of town, and probably they'll be back in town. And it was unfortunately quite a few of these guys passed away too. I forget how many. I think it's over 100 people that started the mill are gone now. And there was some good men in there. These guys really worked.
Yeah, they worked hard.
Yeah, like our generation, we didn't have much at that time. If you were, you get a little bit of education, you could read and write. They thought it's enough for him. Let him go to work, and that's the way it was. Everybody was the same way. I started to work. I was 14, and not only me, everybody. It was the way of life then.
But look what you guys accomplished. I mean, you could read and write, but you were also hard workers. So.
Yeah, all together. If you all push together the same way, you're gonna go somewhere.
Is that the advice maybe you have to tembec employees right now?
That's what I would say. I don't like to give advice, but
oh, why not?
I said, you got a good thing going, boys. I said, keep it going. And sometimes they say, I hear the morale is low. I mean, nothing is perfect in this world. I mean, you work harder, or you make your own world. If you say, well, we're down in the mouth and no morale is low, it will be. But if you say, well, let's push a little harder, and we'll make it. No problem. Yeah.
I think that's a good bit of advice.
Well, it's not, I don't like to give advice, but you got advice to one guy and it doesn't fit the next guy. So
yeah, no, I think that's a good bit of advice for everybody. Now, so you're going to obviously partake in all the 25th anniversary festivities.
I want to meet some the guys that moved out of town there, and there's some guys in town here I didn't see for 3 years neither.
So there you go. You'll see them. Well, listen, thank you very much. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
Well, I say, boys, keep it going, and you got a good thing going. Now keep it going. Yeah.
Good. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sure many of you recognize this room. This is a room where many of the men who worked hard night and day to get the mill started up again came for a little bit of a break, a little bit of a breather, and today we're going to interview Vianney Duma, who's one of the retired gentlemen that will be celebrating the 25th anniversary coming up. Vianney had a long history with CIP, and he also had a long history with tembec. So we're going to talk to Vianney about the protests on the dam, the blocking of the river, what it was like at that time for him and his family, and the struggles that they had to go through. So we're going to talk to him next. Okay, we're going to go back a little bit, Vianney, to when you worked at CIP. How long did you work at CIP before it closed?
19 years.
19 years. And what did you do at CIP?
CIP, when I first started, I worked in Section 40, they called it, instead of Section 99. And I worked all over in the mill. And then in 1954, I started in the bleachery. And I stayed there till it shut down.
Now, with regard to the shutdown, did you ever see the closing of the mill coming? Was it somewhat of a shock to the system?
Very, because we didn't believe it would shut down. They warned us that in 6 months it'd be shutting down. But I think a lot of people didn't believe they'd shut down until it did happen.
And then it was a rude awakening.
Very well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, can you maybe just go back and describe the feelings that you had at the time when you heard about the mill closing?
Well, for me, when it did close down there for a while, it looked all right. They closed down in May, and we had a nice summer, and my wife was a school teacher, so it wasn't affecting me too much on the start, but then as it went on there, and the unemployment ran out and everything, it looked pretty bad. And we were really happy when he started to talk about starting it up again.
Now, did you ever, during that time period, think about, that's it, we've got to pack up the family and kids and go, or were you in a position that you could do that?
Myself, no, I was like a laborer. There was about 1 million of them unemployed, so I didn't know what to do. But we always had hopes that it would start up. And we kept building on that, but I ran out of unemployment about 10 weeks before they really started up.
So those were tough times.
They were. It's a good thing my wife was working.
Yeah, and you had how many children do you have?
3 kids going to school. I had one, see when they shut down, I had one 10, 12, and 14, I guess. So it is tough.
Yeah.
I imagine the people that didn't have nobody working.
Yeah.
They were, 90% of the people stayed in town and they didn't have a choice. So.
Yeah. Did you find for those people that were really going through maybe tougher times than you were or others, was there a sense of community of helping out your fellow union brothers, friends that you knew were going through a hard time, or obviously there was a big sense of community?
Oh yes, there was. We were thinking of them and they were getting a little bit of help, I guess, but not that much. And then you take the women that stayed here alone and their men went and work out of town. It must have been pretty tough. Because the guys went out of town and come back maybe every month or something. They couldn't come back every week.
You had to make the money.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was pretty tough.
Now let's talk about the protests on the dam. I'm sure you were there, the protests on the dam, the blocking of the river. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Well, on the dam I was there, and then we blocked that, and we were doing pretty good until the cops came around and moved us off. But I happened to miss most of that. See what we did? We went a gang of us left for supper, and then the cops moved in and moved the gang right off the dam, and then they got the people pretty mad because the people come back after that. It was getting kind of rough, but it cleared up pretty good, so it wasn't and then they kept the wood on the water.
Yes.
That part that was very good. We needed that.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. Were you involved in that?
I went once on the boat there to tie up to the boom and that, and stop them from taking them logs. That's what we needed to start at the mill. So it worked pretty good there too. So we kept everything there, and some people didn't like us very much, but what the heck.
Hey, you were fighting for your jobs, for your livelihood. This was something that you had to do.
That's right.
And obviously it must have been a really tremendous feeling to be in the middle of that with everybody.
And there was some people really involved in that. They really worked hard, like Emil Brazo was one of them there, and I guess Mr. Lynn backing them up with the gas and everything. It was really something to see.
Oh yeah, backing them up with the gas. Let's talk about this.
Well, you had to give them gas for their motors and that.
Okay.
To go there, and everybody got involved pretty good. So.
Everybody worked together for the main goal. Well, this was the town would become a ghost town if that mill didn't start up again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There was only tembec for us. There was Commonwealth, but they had their people, so there was no work there for anybody.
Now, when you heard that tembec was actually going to start up, that that this is actually going to be a go, you must have been very happy.
Oh, everybody was jumping in and helping out, and we even went on a road trip. I think a busload and 5-6 cars there. We pick at every CIP mill we could get to, and we went to pick at the government buildings in Quebec City and in Ottawa. And it worked well. We were gone for about 8 days. There was about 60, 70 of us. And we had a good time at the same time.
Hey, you have to. So you have to loosen up a little bit.
We even picked at the CIP buildings, their office and all, in Montreal. We did a good round.
Yeah.
That helped out.
Yeah, well, definitely. So when you actually heard the news that yes, tembec is going to be a go, I can just imagine everybody just must have been like, yes, we're going to get back at work, get our jobs back.
It really felt good, and everybody was smiling and happy, and the town really changed overnight when they knew it was going to start, and everybody's chipping in, and it really worked.
I'm sure you were looking forward to hearing the mill go again, because when I talked to Gord McCullough, he said when the mill closed down, he said it was almost eerie how quiet the town was because you couldn't hear the mill.
It's unbelievable. The people, the feeling, you know, and there was I was only about 37, 38, but there was people 55, and there's no work.
Yeah.
So we had to wait, and we went through a rough time, but it turned out pretty good.
Exactly. So how long did you work at tembec before you retired, Vianney?
20 years.
20 years. Yeah. And how can you describe your experience working at tembec, how different it was from CIP? Obviously very different because you were part owner in the mill. I mean, you had a real big stake in this. It must have been a big difference between the two companies.
It was, and then we had a say in everything pretty well. Like they'd make meetings, union, management, and we talked about what we needed, and it really worked out well. When we started, we cut our wages down, but it didn't take long. We caught up.
You guys did really well.
Yes, very good.
I heard about that the aqua, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah, that was a good bonus there, and we were sharing the profits every year, and really helped out. And they had a good system for putting money away, like a pension plan and that. They have their own, but we could make our own too at 5% of our wages. And really worked out nice for me, you know. So we needed them guys to start up. And we got the founders like Mr. Latore, Stevens, and Mr. Chandler, and Mr. Petty there, and we really went out good.
Now, what was it like working alongside your union brothers to get the mill up and running again? I mean, you guys worked long days. The dedication was unbelievable, like the camaraderie that can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, we had a good time, and everybody was really chipping in. Like, there was no saying, I'm not going to do this. Everybody chipped in. Even if you were a mechanic, you'd wash the floor, and you'd help out if it was a block up or something. I don't know if it's still the same there now, but it was really good. When we started up, everybody chipped in. And it went very well. We had a good time, and you could laugh.
Didn't mind working those 14-hour days?
No, really, it was nice.
Now, any